Breaking news, Hollywood's golden couple just shattered. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, once the definition of red carpet perfection, are now facing the kind of scandal that sounds straight out of a courtroom drama. Sources close to the couple claim a $100 million lawsuit has erupted behind the scenes, involving betrayal, leaked messages, and a secret pregnancy that could destroy everything they've built. In a clip allegedly pulled from a leaked phone call, Nicole's voice trembles as she says, "I kept quiet to protect your image, Keith, not mine. Now." Whispers inside Hollywood say a woman named Maggie may hold the key to the entire case, and what she's claiming could flip this picture-perfect marriage upside down. The question everyone's asking tonight, was Nicole and Keith's marriage built on love, or a lie worth $100 million? It all started with what was supposed to be a routine financial review, a simple audit of Nicole and Keith's joint assets. But what Nicole discovered that afternoon inside her lawyer's office would send shockwaves through every corner of Hollywood. As the documents were laid out in front of her, Nicole froze. Buried within the glossy pages of trust funds and property portfolios was a hidden money trail. Transfers quietly routed to an unfamiliar name, Maggie Baugh. Her lawyer hesitated before sliding the final page forward. "Nicole," he said carefully, "this account wasn't created by you, but it's tied directly to your husband." That's when Nicole's composure shattered. She pressed her hand against her mouth, fighting back tears before whispering, "He used my love, my trust, and my money to bury the truth." According to insiders, that moment, the moment Nicole realized the depth of betrayal, was caught on a security camera inside the office. Within hours, snippets of audio began to circulate online. One clip captured her saying through tears, "All this time, I thought I was protecting him." But he was protecting someone else. By morning, social media had exploded. The hashtag #RequerKeithBaby began trending worldwide after an anonymous Reddit post claimed that Maggie B.A., a young Australian artist once linked to Keith's recording sessions, was pregnant, and that Nicole's legal team had uncovered financial support hidden under shell companies. Fan accounts flooded the internet with side-by-side photos, screenshots, and wild theories. Some defended Keith, calling the story fabricated clickbait. Others demanded answers, tagging major outlets like TMZ, People, and Variety under every post. Then came the leaked voice notes. In one, a male voice that fans insist sounds like Keith can be heard saying, "I can't let Nicole find out. Not yet." Another clip, seemingly from Maggie, quietly pleads, "You promised to take care of us, Keith. I don't want the world to know." Whether real or edited, the damage was done. News anchors called it the biggest celebrity implosion since Brangelina. Publicists scrambled. Nicole's representatives released a short statement. Ms. Kidman is focusing on her family and her legal affairs. She asks for privacy during this deeply painful time. But Hollywood doesn't do privacy, it does spectacle. Outside their Nashville mansion, paparazzi lenses flashed like lightning. Every photo of Nicole stepping out without her wedding ring added fuel to the fire. By day 3, the story had outgrown tabloids and hit mainstream headlines. Keith Urban sued for financial deception. Secret baby claims surface. Public opinion turned from sympathy to outrage. And somewhere in the chaos, one chilling question began echoing through every comment section. If Nicole Kidman, the woman who once embodied Hollywood grace, could be deceived this deeply, what else in her life had been scripted? By the third week, what started as whispers of betrayal had evolved into a full-scale legal war. The tabloids weren't exaggerating anymore. Court documents had been filed. Nicole Kidman versus Keith Urban. The allegations: fraud, emotional manipulation, and financial deceit. Each one a dagger to the public image of the couple once crowned Hollywood's most unbreakable love story. The 84-page lawsuit revealed chilling details. Nicole's attorneys alleged that Keith had misappropriated marital assets to conceal payments to a third party, connected to an undisclosed child. The words "pattern of deception" appeared 9 times throughout the Filing inside sources say Nicole was initially hesitant to go public until her legal team showed her the numbers. Over $1.2 million had allegedly been funneled through ghost accounts disguised as production expenses tied to Keith's tour management company. But behind those coded payments were invoices linked to Maggie Bay's private medical care. That's when something in Nicole changed. Gone was the quiet, reserved wife who smiled through red carpets and rumors. In her place stood a woman transformed, calm, deliberate, but fueled by fury. During her first closed-door deposition, a witness described her tone as icily controlled. When asked why she was suing, Nicole reportedly replied, "Because silence protects the liar, not the truth." The quote spread online like wildfire. Fans began calling her the Aussie Phoenix, rising from the ashes of betrayal. Meanwhile, Keith's world started to crumble in real time. First, his Las Vegas residency was abruptly postponed. Then, a luxury guitar brand pulled out of a multi-year endorsement deal, citing ongoing reputational concerns. His PR team issued a generic statement denying all accusations, claiming, "Mr. Urban has always acted in good faith as both a husband and father." But the internet wasn't buying it. Screenshots from alleged internal emails leaked to gossip blogs, suggesting his team had discussed damage control weeks before the lawsuit went public. And then came the nurse testimony, the leak that shattered what little defense Keith had left. According to court exhibits filed by Nicole's lawyers, a maternity nurse at St. Vincent's private hospital in Sydney claimed she had seen Keith Urban visiting a patient under the name M. Baugh late at night, twice, in discreet clothing and a baseball cap. In her sworn statement, the nurse said, "He seemed nervous. He asked to keep the visit private, and when I recognized him, he said, 'You don't know me. Please, for her sake.'" The testimony, though later under review, went viral within hours. Hashtags like Urban Lies and Future Justice for Nicole dominated social feeds. Talk shows began running full panels dissecting the timeline of the alleged affair, while late-night hosts cracked jokes that made Keith's PR nightmare even worse. But through it all, Nicole never raised her voice publicly. She stopped attending industry events, refused interviews, and let the court filings speak for her. Her silence became her strategy, a haunting contrast to Keith's growing desperation. Paparazzi captured him outside a Beverly Hills studio, visibly disheveled, refusing to answer questions. His once flawless image, the soft-spoken country star with a family man reputation, had imploded. And while the headlines screamed about betrayal and heartbreak, Hollywood insiders whispered about something even darker, that this wasn't just about love or money, but about power and control. Because buried deep in the legal documents was a clause few noticed. Nicole had filed for sole ownership of their joint production company, the same one that managed the royalties to Keith's most lucrative albums. If the court sided with her, she wouldn't just win emotionally, she'd win financially, forever severing the empire they built together. As one insider put it, Nicole isn't fighting for revenge. She's fighting to rewrite the ending of her own story. The war had begun, and Hollywood was watching, popcorn in hand. Just when the dust began to settle around the lawsuit, a new name detonated across every headline: Maggie Bay. For weeks, she'd been the quiet shadow in the story, the mysterious woman whose name appeared only in legal documents and half-redacted invoices. But on a quiet Thursday morning, that silence broke. A single Instagram story from Maggie changed everything. Black background, white text. The truth can't stay hidden forever. It was posted for exactly 9 minutes before being deleted. But screenshots flooded every corner of social media. Reddit threads, fan pages, celebrity gossip accounts. The internet erupted, demanding answers. Who was Maggie Baugh, really? A model? A nurse? An old flame? Or, as the lawsuit suggested, the alleged mother of Keith's secret child? Within hours, her follower count exploded from a few thousand to nearly 500,000. Paparazzi swarmed her apartment complex in Nashville, and reporters parked outside her workplace hoping for a soundbite. But Maggie said nothing. That silence only made things worse. Tabloids painted her as the homewrecker who destroyed Hollywood's power couple, while others defended her as a woman trapped in someone else's lie. Hashtags like Now Maggie Speaks and Team Nicole began trending simultaneously, splitting fans right down the middle. Then, 3 days later, the internet got what it had been waiting for, though not how anyone expected. A leaked video surfaced online, allegedly sent from Maggie's private account to a friend. In it, she appeared in tears, her voice trembling as she whispered, "I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted the truth out there." She went on to say she'd been promised protection, and that she never wanted to ruin anyone's family. The clip was only 40 seconds long, but it shattered the internet's perception of her. Suddenly, the villain became the victim. Comment sections flipped overnight. Influencers and public figures began weighing in, calling out the hypocrisy of blaming a woman while the man at the center, Keith, stayed silent. Some fans even pointed out that Maggie had turned off her comments months ago, hinting she'd been under pressure long before the scandal exploded. Meanwhile, Nicole's camp remained completely quiet. Her publicist released a brief statement saying, "Ms. Kidman's focus remains on her children and ongoing legal proceedings. She will not be commenting on private individuals." But that silence only fueled more theories. Some insiders claimed Maggie's emotional video was part of a calculated PR strategy, designed to sway public sympathy ahead of the custody and asset hearings. Others insisted it was genuine, the raw confession of a woman trapped in a high-stakes Hollywood storm she never wanted to be part of. Either way, the reaction was nuclear. Entertainment shows replayed the clip non-stop, dissecting every tear, every pause, every shaky word. Fans began editing side-by-side comparisons of Nicole and Maggie, labeling one the queen and the other the pawn. And through it all, Keith Urban remained missing in action. No statements, no appearances, not even a paparazzi sighting. His social media pages went dark, brand collaborations quietly disappeared, and his management team stopped responding to media inquiries. The narrative was slipping, not just from his hands, but from Hollywood's control altogether. Because now, the story wasn't just Nicole versus Keith, it was Nicole versus Keith versus Maggie. 3 names, 3 sides of the same truth, and as the internet began to dig deeper, one chilling question echoed everywhere. If Maggie wasn't lying, who else knew all along? The courthouse in downtown Los Angeles hadn't seen this much chaos since the Depp Heard trial. But on that warm morning, all eyes were fixed on one woman, Nicole Kidman. She arrived in a tailored white suit, immaculate and composed, walking past flashing cameras with the poise of someone who'd already won. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. White, the color of rebirth, purity, and new beginnings. The internet immediately picked up on it, calling her entrance the rebirth of Nicole. Inside the courtroom, it was standing room only. Journalists from every major outlet filled the benches. Fans gathered outside holding handmade signs that read, "We believe," Nicole, and "Truth over fame." Even the judge reportedly commented on the media circus atmosphere. Then the session here began, and so did the unraveling of Keith Urban's empire. Nicole's lawyers presented a timeline that stunned even seasoned reporters, a series of bank transfers, encrypted messages, and falsified invoices, all painting the picture of a man who had not only betrayed his wife emotionally, but allegedly used her trust to hide financial deceit. The tension broke when Nicole herself took the stand. The courtroom fell silent as she adjusted the microphone, her expression steady. Her voice didn't waver, not once. And in a moment that would soon dominate global headlines, she said, "I gave him my love. He turned it into leverage." That line would echo across social media within minutes. Fans turned it into artwork, remixes, TikTok edits, even t-shirts. It became the quote of the trial. A single sentence that captured years of silence, betrayal, and strength. Across the aisle, Keith Urban sat motionless. Dressed in a black suit, eyes fixed downward, he looked like a shadow of the man fans once adored. The courtroom artist's sketch showed him pale and withdrawn, clutching a crumpled tissue in his hand. When his turn came, his defense attorney made a desperate move, offering a settlement rumored to be around $100 million in an attempt to end the spectacle quietly. But Nicole refused. Her response was short and it sent shockwaves through the courtroom. "This isn't about money. It's about truth," gasps rippled through the audience. Reporters scrambled to tweet updates. By the end of the day, hashtags like Nicole Speaks, Truth Over Leverage, and Stand With Nicole were trending in over 40 countries. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, fans chanted her name as she walked to her car. Some even brought white roses, a symbol of purity mirroring her courtroom outfit. The imagery was cinematic. The betrayed wife rising from ashes while the once beloved husband watched his world crumble in silence. And that silence from Keith? It spoke louder than any denial, because while Nicole stood tall, he couldn't even look her in the eye. Eyewitnesses reported that Keith avoided eye contact the entire session, whispering only to his attorney. His demeanor, once confident and charismatic, now seemed haunted, almost hollow. Industry insiders later claimed several of Keith's sponsors had quietly pulled out of contracts that same week. 2 festival appearances were postponed indefinitely, and one network reportedly shelved a planned documentary on his life, citing brand instability. It was clear the empire was collapsing. But Nicole didn't gloat. She didn't cry. She simply walked out of that courtroom with the same composure she entered with, as if she'd already made peace with whatever came next. As the day ended, her legal team issued a short statement. Ms. Kidman appreciates the outpouring of support and asks for privacy as she focuses on her family and personal healing. The statement was simple, but fans could read between the lines Nicole had taken her power back. That night, social media became a digital monument to her resilience. People began revisiting old interviews where Nicole spoke about silence being a form of strength. Those clips resurfaced with millions of views, reframed as proof that she'd been fighting this quiet battle for years. Even celebrities joined the wave. Reese Witherspoon tweeted, "There's power in grace." Nicole reminded the world of that today. And as the sun set over Los Angeles, one question lingered. Would Keith Urban ever recover? Not just his career, but his image. Because for millions watching around the world, this wasn't just a celebrity trial anymore. It had become something deeper. A story about betrayal, rebirth, and the kind of quiet power that doesn't need revenge to make its point. Nicole had walked into that courtroom as the betrayed wife. She walked out as a symbol of survival. The courtroom drama had barely cooled before the next explosion hit, and this one would shake Hollywood to its core. Just 3 days after Nicole's viral testimony, TMZ dropped a headline so massive it broke the internet. DNA test confirms Keith Urban is the father. The article claimed that court-sealed documents had been leaked to the press, allegedly proving that the paternity test linked Keith Urban directly to the child mentioned in Nicole's lawsuit, a child born quietly 2 years ago, under the radar of both fans and the media. Within minutes, the story went global. Major outlets picked it up, fans flooded timelines with disbelief, and every social platform turned into a battlefield. The man who once sang about love, loyalty, and redemption was now at the center of one of the most scandalous betrayals in modern celebrity history. But while the world was refreshing their feeds, Nicole Kidman was home, alone. Sources close to her told Variety that she received the news not from her legal team, not from the press, but from a friend who texted her the headline before it broke live on air. Her reaction, according to an insider, was devastating to witness. They said she didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just sat there staring at the screen, repeating, "He swore it wasn't true." The public had seen Nicole as composed and unshakable throughout the trial, but behind closed doors, this revelation was a different kind of wound. Not legal, not financial. Emotional. The love she once fought to protect was now officially proven to be built on a lie. But even as sympathy poured in for Nicole, Keith's world spiraled into chaos. That same night, a leaked video began circulating online. A grainy, 12-second clip allegedly taken from inside Keith's management office. In it, Keith could be heard snapping at someone off camera saying, "Tell them to delete everything. All of it. I mean it. Now." The clip spread like wildfire, fueling accusations of a cover-up. Fans demanded investigations, while gossip forums speculated that he was referring to deleted text chains and financial records linked to Maggie B. By morning, the clip had been viewed over 20 million times. His PR team called it doctored audio, but even casual listeners recognized Keith's voice. That same soft Australian lilt that once melted hearts on stage now sounded like panic and guilt. And just when the situation couldn't get any worse, Maggie Ba reappeared. Late that evening, she posted a 5-minute confession video to her verified Instagram account. Unfiltered, tear-streaked, and raw. "I didn't want to hide anymore," she began, her voice trembling. "Yes, Keith is the father, but it was never supposed to be like this. I never wanted to hurt anyone, especially Nicole." The video was equal parts apology and confession. Maggie claimed she had been pressured into silence by powerful people and that she was promised protection once the truth came out. She didn't name names, but the implication was clear. The cover-up wasn't accidental. Within hours, the video hit 10 million views, and the public's perception shifted once again. Where Maggie was once labeled the villain, now she was being called the woman who told the truth when no one else would. Nicole, however, stayed silent. No posts, no statements, nothing. But insiders revealed she'd instructed her team to push forward with the case despite the confirmation, determined not to let the story end with pity. Meanwhile, Keith's downfall was accelerating. Radio stations quietly began pulling his songs from rotation. 2 of his upcoming tour dates were postponed pending legal review. And for the first time in his career, fans started returning merchandise in protest. The man who once symbolized love and redemption had become the face of betrayal. Entertainment Reporter summed it up perfectly. In Hollywood, lies always leak, but DNA doesn't. As the dust settled that night, one final image began circulating online. A paparazzi photo of Nicole standing on her balcony, wrapped in a cream shawl, looking out at the city lights. No makeup, no smile, just quiet strength. And beneath that photo, a single comment stood out among the thousands. She lost a husband, but she found the truth. The question now wasn't whether Keith Urban was guilty. The DNA had already answered that. The real question was how Nicole would rise from the ruins and what her next move would be. By the time Nicole Kidman appeared before the cameras again, the world had already chosen a side. The DNA bombshell had confirmed what fans feared most, but no one expected what came next: Nicole's public reckoning. It was early afternoon in Los Angeles when she walked onto the stage of a packed press hall. The flashing bulbs lit up her face like lightning, but she stood tall, calm, elegant, and heartbreakingly human. For the first time since the scandal began, she spoke directly to the world. Her voice was low, steady, but laced with quiet devastation. "He used my love as his cover," she said, pausing as murmurs swept through the room, "and my money as his weapon." That line hit like thunder. Reporters froze mid-type. The sentence was instantly immortalized, plastered across headlines, trending hashtags, and quote graphics within minutes. Nicole continued, her words deliberate and haunting. "For years, I believed in the version of love he sold me. Loyal, sacred, safe. but I've learned that even the people who promise to protect your heart can turn it into their currency. This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming what's real." The room fell silent. Cameras captured her hands trembling slightly as she reached for her glass of water. Behind her, a small group of supporters, friends, colleagues, and legal counsel watched with solemn pride. Nicole spoke for just 7 minutes, but those 7 minutes changed everything. Around the globe, her speech was hailed as one of the most powerful public statements in modern celebrity history. News anchors replayed her words on loop, while social media declared her the face of truth and empowerment. Fans from every generation flooded the internet with messages of solidarity. Hashtags like Toachiu Nicole Speaks, Truth, Love is not leverage, and I'm stand with. Nicole surged past 200 million views on TikTok alone. But even icons break. As she stepped down from the podium, a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her. Cameras caught the moment, her hand reaching out, her team rushing forward as she fainted briefly, collapsing into the arms of a friend. Gasps filled the room. The flashes stopped. For a few seconds, the world saw not the movie star, not the symbol of strength, but a woman completely drained by heartbreak and exhaustion. Paramedics arrived quickly, confirming she was stable. Still, the image of Nicole's collapse became an instant global moment, one that captured the raw human toll of a war she never asked for. Meanwhile, Keith Urban's collapse was of a different kind, total and public. His record label quietly suspended their partnership. 2 global sponsors, including a luxury car brand and a major fashion house, cut ties within hours of Nicole's speech. Streaming platforms began curating playlists under Empowered Women of Hollywood, deliberately omitting his music. Even Nashville, once his kingdom, turned cold. Protests appeared outside one of his scheduled venues with signs reading, "Accountability over fame," and "No more silence in country music." Insiders say Keith has gone completely off the grid. No public appearances, no interviews, not even a statement of apology. A source close to his management team described the situation bluntly. "It's over. He's radioactive in the industry right now." As the press conference footage replayed across every major network, a single frame stood out. Nicole, moments before collapsing, looking directly into the camera, eyes filled with quiet strength. That image became the cover of countless magazines the next morning. Time titled their feature, "The Woman Who Refused to Stay Silent." And beneath all the chaos, one thing had become clear. This was no longer just a story about betrayal. It was a story about transformation. A woman reclaiming her voice, her power, and her truth in front of the entire world. Nicole had been broken in public, but she had risen there too. The camera opens on a quiet Sydney morning. The air feels heavier, as if the world itself knows something final is about to happen. Nicole Kidman walks barefoot through the garden of her estate, sunlight catching in her hair, holding a small velvet box in her hand. Inside it, the wedding ring that once symbolized forever. She pauses by the old oak tree where Keith had once proposed, where he swore that forever meant something. The scene is silent except for the faint hum of cicadas. And then, with one steady breath, Nicole opens her hand and lets the ring fall to the earth. The sound of metal against stone echoes like the closing of a chapter. That single moment becomes the viral clip of the year. TikTok captions it, "The End of Forever." Millions replay it over and over, not because it's glamorous, but because it feels real. You can see the pain in her eyes, but also the peace that comes from final acceptance. Across social media, fans flood comment sections with messages like, "That drop was louder than any confession." She didn't just end a marriage, she reclaimed herself. News outlets call it the cinematic breakup moment of the decade. Fashion blogs analyze her simple white linen dress, the color of surrender, but also rebirth. Meanwhile, Keith Urban's world continues to implode. His label quietly suspends his upcoming tour. Sponsors pull out. Even fellow artists unfollow him. The silence around him speaks louder than any statement. But for Nicole, this silence feels sacred. After months of chaos, trials, DNA headlines, and public humiliation, she finally sits alone on her veranda. Just her, the wind, and a half-empty cup of tea. The camera catches her whispering to herself, almost as if reciting a prayer. You can forgive the storm, but you never forget where it hit you. That single quote becomes her legacy moment, reposted across millions of feeds, engraved on digital wallpapers, and quoted by women worldwide as a symbol of reclaiming strength after betrayal. Later that evening, Nicole records one last message for her fans. Not a press statement, not a performance, just her own quiet truth. Sometimes, love isn't stolen, it's surrendered, little by little, when you start believing their version of you more than your own. She exhales. The screen fades to black. Then, her voice returns one final time, soft but steady, over archival clips of her and Keith smiling in happier days. I used to think the empire we built was untouchable, but sometimes the empire doesn't fall from enemies. It crumbles from the lies inside its walls. The final shot, Nicole walking down a long hallway, her reflection multiplying in mirrors, symbolizing every version of herself she's had to shed. She stops, looks at her reflection, and for the first time in the entire film, smiles. The music swells, not a sad song, but something hauntingly hopeful. On screen, white text fades in. To every woman who's been silenced, your truth is still yours. And with that, the story ends, not as a tragedy but as a quiet revolution. Nicole Kidman's name, once tangled in scandal, now becomes a global metaphor for resilience. Because in the end, it wasn't the DNA test, the court case, or the betrayal that defined her. It was the courage to walk away and let the world see her do it.